for Reaper Metal Productions. I am Adam of Unbaptized Records, here to make another video for you. Today I'm going to do a review. I'm just kidding. No, I'm going to go through the music I've been listening to in my car recently. I got a smaller stack than usual, and one band I've definitely already gone over recently, and another band I have 2 copies of, which is one of those bands that needs no introduction, needs no explanation, but I love them and I'm listening to them and I have an opinion on them. So I am going to let you know what I think of that band. And it's going to be a real surprise. No, it's not. So first we have another one of my favorites, definitely one of my new favorite styles of releases here with a double disc, the Demos, Mevolent Creation. This is a band I can fully admit I slept on. This is a recommendation for an obvious, early, awesome Florida death metal band that I just missed out on for whatever reason. That happens. It is what it is, but I'm glad I know about them now. And this is a double disc of their demos. I know Melanie Loves Death Metal, I think, recently showed this off maybe in one of her year-end videos. But this is freaking fantastic. You have Demo 87, Demo 89, Demo 90, then Live in Florida in 1990. Literally, this is, looks like it's saying August 17th, so I don't know if you can see, but it's written here as 17/8, so clearly the European style of writing dates. But this was literally 16 days after I was born, so I was born in August of 1990, so yeah, that's pretty cool. So literally freaking less than 3 weeks after I was born, they played this. Live demo in 89 and in 93 they did a live EP, so this is off Vic Records. I mean, this is just quintessential early death metal. And again, the fact that for less than like maybe $15 you buy this CD, you get 2 discs, you get yourself 3 demos, and then 2 live, and then a live EP. That's amazing, especially for this kind of band. It's cool that, you know, you can definitely go out and spend hundreds of dollars on some original releases of some of this stuff too, like, you know, maybe the first Monstrosity album or first Mevolent Creation pressing might be worth $100. I don't really know, but it's definitely expensive. But then if you're not necessarily a collector, you're just a lover of the music like me, I care less about how much a demo or an EP or an early release is worth. I don't necessarily need the original press. I don't really care. I just want to own the music. So the fact that this kind of stuff does get repressed when some of it was either previously unreleased or maybe it just came out on tape, and you know, tapes wear and, you know, lose their just lose their quality over time, which is unfortunate. But having it on a disc and being able to burn this and make it, you know, if I want to back it up and have it digital as well, I just love that concept. So not just showing off the CD, but kind of giving you my philosophy on repressing early demos and stuff, something I never normally cared about, but now that I've kind of been exposed to it more and more, I love it. And especially, it's sort of like an order of operation. If you're just starting out getting into metal, you listen to the classics, you listen to the first albums by each subgenre, you know, the first heavy metal records. Maybe, you know, you want to listen to the first black metal album, so you're going to listen to Bathory. You listen to the first death metal albums or demos, you know, just the early stuff, so maybe Scream, Bloody Gore, and Possessed, and stuff like that. And then you go into the more obscure stuff, the demos, the bootlegs, the live. At least that's my opinion, that's how I go. So you start out with the basic stuff, maybe listen to some of their later albums, then listen to the newer bands, and then once you've conquered all that land, then you go back, you get the demos. And so again, just to have the compilation of demos like this, I'm just appreciative of this because I'm a nerd, I like collecting, but at the end of the day, I just want to own physical media that I'll go back to over and over. This is something I'm going to go back to. I didn't hear about it or know about it till recently, but now that I have it, I can go back to it whenever I want. So I think that's awesome to have. Okay, next I'm going to talk about another Razorback release. I will fully admit, I've only listened to this once. I don't fully remember it, but Orloff is the band here. Pretty cool album art. And the album is called Apparitions Among the Graveyard Skies. If you like brutal death, if you like gore grind, if you like even some of the heavier thrash, Razorback Records. No longer around, but they do still have a decent amount of music in his distro. Again, that's another person who I definitely like to have an interview with. I did talk to him over Instagram, and Billy did say he would do an interview. I just need to get myself out to where he lives at some point. But that would be really cool. Andy's, of course, a huge horror movie fan, so that would be something I'd love to talk about too. So obviously there's a huge link between people who like metal and people who like horror. Next we have the band Obscura. I know I just recently showed off 2 of their albums, and as you can see, this one is not that much dissimilar. Has that space feel to it with the cover and with the music, and it's essentially the same as what I mentioned before. If you like Necrophagist, that more, I guess, lamer technical death metal, not on the heaviest side, but more about the musicianship, this is awesome. This is going to be right up your alley. Every album by them is great. I have not heard anything so far I don't like, and in fact, as I mentioned before, I forget if it was maybe 2017 or 2018, but their album Diluvium, I have the CD and LP. That was my album of the year. That was the first time for me even hearing that band. It was that year, and I already said it was my album of the year. So that just goes to show how much of an impact it made on me. But also, when I first heard Necrophagist second album, that one blew my mind. I've never recovered since. My mind is still blown. To me, that's some of the most amazing metal you'll ever hear from a musician standpoint. So if you like that kind of thing, definitely check out Obscura. Okay, next we have a second album by Sepultura, Schizophrenia, second full length. I'm not really a fan of this. It's just weird. I love the first 2 releases, the album and the EP. I have the CD and LP. I think the LP's a bootleg. And then I have Beneath the Remains. I love Arise. That one's some great thrash. Unfortunately, it's not really death metal like the early stuff. Something about the recording of this specific release. I listened to other recordings as well on YouTube, Spotify. It just didn't sound very good either. I don't know what it was. There's something about the music itself isn't that bad. It's really not that much different from the music surrounding it. So, the previous album and the album after. I don't know what it was. It was just the recording just did not sound good to me. Maybe if I pick up the newer re-recording by the Cavalera Brothers, I'll like it. I did listen to a few songs for comparison. Thought it was a little better. I wanted to like this album. If there was ever an album I wanted to like by especially a classic band like Sepultura, it would have been this album. So whatever it is, I'm not sure if I'm the only one. Let me know in the comments if other people thought this was just a weird recording, because again, Beneath the Remains I thought was pretty good as well, and Bestial Devastation, all their stuff up till including Arise and Chaos AD and Roots. I didn't listen to that stuff, but everything up until and including Arise I thought was great, but I didn't really care for this. So let me know if there's something I'm missing. No idea, I just didn't care for it. Next 2 releases we have Death Human and Death Spiritual Healing. Needs no explanation, but I will say once again, this is a Relapse record double CD, so you get rehearsals, instrumentals, and joke and jam tracks, which I don't really care about that. And Spiritual Healing, that's kind of cool. And then disc 2 for Human also has some messing around instrumentals, joke stuff. At least it has the demos, which is cool. That's more so what I would care about. But some of the instrumental in studio stuff, I guess if you're a big Chuck fan, that's cool just to have that as part of your collection, given obviously passed away, so the band doesn't exist anymore. And of course the band going through its iterations from being in Mantis and having Cam Lee doing the vocals, to then switching over to Evil Chuck, then having the full lengths and going from death metal to more of the technical stuff. It at least gives you that catalog, and you're not spending a ton of money to have that. That's cool. I'm glad they released it, but I'm probably going to skip it. So this is an example. Unlike Repulsion, I'm probably not going to listen to the second disc, but it's still cool to have. And last, we have something way out of left field, but speaking of bands, hey, here's a little bit of a trend. Speaking of bands that made my top list, I don't know if this was my album of the year when their most recent album came out, but it was really damn close, and that's the band Tetrgrde with their compilation Third World Esotericism. This is an Iron Bonehead release. I think they've done all of their releases. These guys are absolutely freaking nuts out of India. They are amazing. I love this compilation. The songs are really kind of long titles and hard to pronounce sometimes, but the last song that they did is absolutely my favorite. And I'm going to try to even read it here, but Pulsating, what the heck does that say even? Pseudoshan Gamadian of something Tronic Vishnu. I have no idea what it says, but that's the first song I ever heard by them. It's absolutely phenomenal. I love that song. It's so different. It's kind of extreme war metal with this overlay of like white noise and just pulsating drums, barely recognizable vocals. Their newer music, and the one I did consider my album of the year, did kind of make it a little more tame and boring. I still really enjoyed it. There were some filler tracks towards the beginning and the end, intros and outros, that I didn't really care for. But if you're going to pick up anything about this band, if you're not familiar with them, Tetrgrde, the release Third World Esotericism. This is an Iron Bonehead release, and it's a compilation. I recommend getting this. This is phenomenal.